The great council chamber stretched across 300 meters of polished crystal floors. Representatives from 47 species sat in their designated seats, each area designed for their specific biology. The Vraxel needed heat lamps. The Kresh required moisture generators. The Lumini existed as pure crystalline consciousness, their bodies glowing softly in their suspension fields. Ambassador Kenji Torres stood at the speaking platform, his dark suit simple compared to the elaborate garments worn by other delegates. He was a small figure in this massive room, but his voice carried clearly through the translation devices. Honored members of the Galactic Coalition, Kenji began, humanity requests full membership in this council. We have met every requirement. Our technology meets minimum standards. Our worlds are stable. Our people seek peace. A rasping laugh echoed from the Vraxel section. Commander Zorthak rose from his heated seat, his scaled body reflecting the chamber's lights. He was easily 3 meters tall, his reptilian features twisted into what his species considered a smile. Peace? Zorthak hissed. Your kind disappeared for 200 years after first contact. The silence, we call it. You ignored all communication. You hid in your little star system like frightened children. Now you return and ask to sit among real civilizations? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Kresh delegate clicked her mandibles in what translated as laughter. Even the normally diplomatic Lumini dimmed their lights, showing disapproval. Kenji remained calm. He had expected this. We needed time to develop, to grow as a species. Surely the Council understands that different cultures advance at different speeds. Develop? Another voice joined in. This came from Wexlor, a Kresh military advisor. You barely have functional jump drives. Your largest warship is smaller than our transport vessels. What could you possibly offer this coalition? Kenji glanced at the other 2 human delegates sitting behind him. Dr. Sarah Okonkwo met his eyes and gave the smallest shake of her head. Not yet. Colonel Marcus Webb sat motionless, his military bearing perfect, his face unreadable. We offer our perspective, Kenji said carefully. Our innovation. Our determination. Zorthak laughed again, louder this time. Determination? That reminds me of an old story my grandfather told me. During the silence, the Vraxel Empire sent a scouting fleet to your home system. 12 ships, nothing major. Just a routine investigation to see what you primitives were doing. The commander paced now, enjoying his audience. The fleet never returned. All 12 ships gone. My grandfather claimed they encountered something. A human vessel, he said. 1 ship against 12. He called it the Leviathan, a ghost ship from human mythology. More laughter filled the chamber. Zorthak spread his clawed hands. Of course this was nonsense. Space pirates probably ambushed them, or they encountered a natural phenomenon. But my grandfather insisted until his death that humans had destroyed them. 1 ship, 1. He turned to face Kenji directly. Tell me, Ambassador, do you have such a vessel? This mythical Leviathan? The entire chamber fell silent. Every species watched the human delegation. Kenji's expression never changed. The silence was a complicated time, Commander. Many things happened that are not well documented. A politician's answer, Zorthak sneered. Which means no. You hide behind words because you have nothing else. Kenji sat down. The vote would happen in 3 days. He already knew the result. Humanity would be denied membership. The coalition saw them as weak, primitive, irrelevant. As the session ended and delegates filed out, Dr. Okonkwo leaned close to Kenji. They don't know, she whispered. They don't need to know, Kenji replied quietly. Not unless it becomes necessary, Colonel Webb added in a voice barely audible. The question is, will it become necessary? Far across the galaxy, that question was being answered. The Korthax Empire occupied a region of space that made other species nervous. They had conquered 12 civilizations in the past century. Their methods were brutal and efficient. Surrender or die. Those who surrendered lived as slaves. Those who resisted were exterminated. War Sovereign Kralik stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Endless Hunger. Behind him, through the massive view screen, stretched his Crimson Armada, 1,200 warships, each one capable of destroying a planet. The sight filled him with pride. Analysis complete, my sovereign, his tactical officer reported. The human colonies are poorly defended. Intelligence shows approximately 200 vessels total across all their worlds. Most are outdated designs. Kralik studied the holographic display. The human territories were small but rich in resources, rare minerals, habitable worlds, and they sat on the edge of Coalition space, which made them strategically valuable. The Coalition protects them, he asked. Technically, yes, but humans are not full members. Our diplomatic sources say the Council views them with contempt. They will not risk war with the Korthax Empire for a species they barely tolerate. Kralix's mouth parts twisted into a savage smile. Then we take what we want. Prepare the fleet for invasion. Send the standard ultimatum to all human worlds. They have 72 hours to surrender. And if they resist? Then we demonstrate what happens to primitives who defy the Empire. The message was sent. Across human space on Earth, on the colonies of New Horizon, Terra Nova and Kepler's Hope, the ultimatum was received. Surrender all territory and resources to the Korthax Empire. Submit to Imperial rule. Resistance would result in total destruction. In the Coalition Council, an emergency session was called. The mood was tense but not panicked. The general consensus formed quickly. Humanity was not worth a war with the Korthax. Perhaps this would teach the humans humility. Perhaps after losing their colonies, they would be more grateful for whatever scraps of protection the Coalition might offer. Kenji Torres requested to speak. Permission was granted, though several delegates made their impatience obvious. The Korthax have threatened human worlds, Kenji said. We acknowledge that humanity is not yet a full Coalition member. Therefore, we do not ask for your protection. We decline to put any other species at risk for our sake. This caused confusion. Wexler the Kresh clicked in surprise. You accept conquest? You will not even fight? I did not say that, Kenji replied. A small smile crossed his face. I said we will not ask for your help. Humanity will defend its own worlds. Zorthak could not contain himself. With what? Your 200 obsolete ships against the Crimson Armada. This is suicide. Kenji gathered his materials. Dr. Okonkwo and Colonel Webb stood with him. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Kenji turned back one last time. Commander Zorthak, you mentioned your grandfather's story. The one about the Leviathan. You called it a myth. Because it is a myth, Zorthak snapped. Kenji's smile widened slightly. Perhaps. Or perhaps some myths exist because people need to explain things they cannot understand. Thank you for your time, honored delegates. Humanity withdraws its petition for membership. We will handle our own affairs. As the human delegation left, a coded message was transmitted from Earth to every human colony and station. It was brief, just 3 words in old military code. Protocol Omega. Activate. On Neptune's orbit, in a fold of space that existed between dimensions, something began to stir. Systems that had slept for 2 centuries started to wake. Power cores that held more energy than most stars began to charge. And in 300 cryogenic pods, human hearts began to beat again. The myth was waking up. The 72-hour deadline passed like a storm approaching on the horizon. Across human space, civilians were evacuated from frontier stations. Military vessels, old and outdated by galactic standards, formed defensive positions around key worlds. Everyone knew these defenses would not be enough. But humans would fight anyway. On Earth, in the deep archives beneath Geneva, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo walked through corridors that few people knew existed. Her security clearance was among the highest in human space. Colonel Marcus Webb walked beside her, his face grim. The Council thinks we're fools, Marcus said. Let them think that, Sarah replied. Better they underestimate us than fear us before it's necessary. They entered a circular room. The walls were covered in displays showing data streams, historical records, and classified files. This was the Archive of the Silence, the complete record of what humanity had really been doing for 200 years. Sarah pulled up a hologram. It showed a star map from 230 years ago, back when humanity had just developed their first crude, faster-than-light drives. A small exploration ship called the Pathfinder had been surveying the outer edges of the Kuiper Belt. This is where it started, she said. The Pathfinder detected an anomaly, something that shouldn't exist. The hologram shifted, showing a structure floating in deep space. It was enormous, easily 100 kilometers across, shaped like a ring with geometric patterns that hurt to look at for too long. The architecture followed rules that did not match 3-dimensional space. The architects, Marcus said quietly. The old ones. Every spacefaring species knows the legends, Sarah continued. A civilization that existed millions of years ago. They built things that transcended normal physics. Then they disappeared and their technology was lost. Finding even a fragment of their work is considered impossible. But we found more than a fragment. The hologram showed the exploration that followed. Humanity had immediately classified the discovery at the highest level. They stopped answering coalition communications. They pulled back to their home system. The galaxy called it the silence and assumed humans were either too afraid or too primitive to engage. The truth was different. Humanity had found a gift from the ancient past and they were terrified of it. 3 research stations were built around the structure, Sarah explained. Thousands of our best scientists studied it. We learned that the architects didn't just build advanced technology. They understood the fundamental nature of reality. They could manipulate space, time, gravity, even probability. Marcus pulled up another file, and we found blueprints. Partial ones. Enough to understand that the architects built ships, vessels that were as much alive as they were machines. That's when the debate started, Sarah said. What should we do with this knowledge? We could build weapons. We could conquer the galaxy. The technology we found could make humanity unstoppable. But we didn't, Marcus finished. We chose differently. The decision had taken 10 years. Philosophers, ethicists, scientists, military leaders, and civilian representatives debated humanity's path. Some wanted to build a fleet of architect ships and establish human dominance. Others wanted to destroy everything and pretend the discovery never happened. The compromise became known as the Guardian Protocol. Humanity would build one ship, only one. It would incorporate the best of human engineering with the architect technology they could understand. It would be powerful enough to defend humanity against any threat, but limited enough that it could not be used for conquest. The Leviathan, Marcus said. We spent 60 years building it. Another 40 testing it in deep space. It only saw combat once, Sarah nodded. When the Vraxel scouts came during the silence. They interpreted our isolation as weakness and sent ships to investigate. The Leviathan intercepted them. 12 ships destroyed in 17 minutes, Marcus recalled. But we didn't want anyone to know what we had. So we let them think it was pirates or an accident or whatever explanation they preferred. And when the Leviathan was complete, when we knew it worked, we made a choice. Sarah's voice was heavy. We put it in dimensional storage. We put the crew in cryosleep. We hid it near Neptune where no one would look. And we waited. Waited for what? For this, Sarah said simply. For the moment when we would need it. When defense was necessary, not conquest. When we could use the power responsibly. An alert chimed. Both of them looked at the displays. The Korthax Crimson Armada had entered human space. War Sovereign Kralix watched his tactical displays with satisfaction. The human defense fleet had assembled near the colony world of New Horizon. 200 ships, just as intelligence predicted. They were arranged in textbook defensive formations, trying to maximize their limited firepower. Pathetic, he muttered. They cannot win, yet they position themselves as if strategy matters. His tactical officer was less certain. The humans have a reputation for unpredictability, my sovereign. Perhaps caution would be wise. Caution? Kralix's voice rose. Against primitives? No. We will crush them quickly and move on to their other worlds. Send the vanguard. 400 ships. That should be more than sufficient. The Korthax vanguard advanced. They outnumbered the human defenders 2 to 1. Their weapons were more powerful. Their shields were stronger. Their tactics had conquered 12 civilizations. The battle lasted 6 hours. The humans fought with desperate courage. Their smaller ships used kamikaze runs, ramming maneuvers, and guerrilla tactics. They made the Korthax pay for every meter of space. But courage could not overcome the technology gap. By the time the battle ended, 140 human ships were destroyed. The remaining 60 retreated toward New Horizons' orbital stations, shields failing, weapons depleted. Kralix allowed himself a moment of triumph. That is the price of resistance. Now we finish them. But his tactical officer suddenly spoke, his voice urgent. My sovereign, we are receiving a transmission. From Earth. Another plea for mercy? Kralix sneered. Ignore it. No, my sovereign. It is a warning. They say they are activating something called Protocol Omega. Kralix waved a dismissive claw. Meaningless human dramatics. Continue the advance. Across the galaxy in the Coalition Council chamber, the same transmission was received. Ambassador Kenji Torres appeared on every screen, his face calm but his voice carrying an edge that few had heard before. This message is for all coalition species and for the Korthax Empire.
Humanity has attempted peace.
We have attempted diplomacy. We have shown restraint. These approaches have failed. He paused, letting his words sink in. 200 years ago, humanity found something in deep space. We found technology left by the architects, the old ones who came before all current civilizations. We could have used it to conquer. We could have built a fleet and dominated the galaxy. We chose a different path. Zorthak stood in the council chamber, his eyes wide. Impossible. The architect sites are all dead, stripped clean millions of years ago. We built one ship, Kenji continued, one vessel incorporating both human ingenuity and architect technology. We built it as a guardian, not a conqueror. We hoped we would never need to use it. But the Korthax have forced our hand. The transmission showed coordinates. Neptune orbit. Sensor data began flooding in from coalition monitoring stations. Something was happening there. Something that made every species scientist start shouting in disbelief. Protocol Omega is now active, Kenji said. The Leviathan is waking up. To the Korthax Empire, you have one chance to withdraw. If you refuse, you will discover why some myths are based on truth. The transmission ended. In the council chamber, chaos erupted. Species representatives argued, demanded explanations, accused humans of lying. But the sensor data did not lie. Near Neptune, a tear was opening in space itself. Energy readings spiked beyond any known measurement. And something vast was coming through. Something that should not exist. Something that proved humans had been very, very quiet about what they could really do. The myth was no longer sleeping. Captain Sarah Chen woke from a sleep that had lasted 200 years. The cryogenic pod hissed as it opened, releasing vapor into the dim chamber. Her body felt strange, different, enhanced by the integration process that had been necessary to pilot the Leviathan. Her nervous system had been modified to interface directly with the ship's consciousness, because the Leviathan was not just a ship. It was alive in ways that current science could not fully explain. Sarah sat up slowly, her enhanced physiology already compensating for 2 centuries of frozen sleep. Around her, other pods were opening. Her crew of 300, all volunteers, all modified, all ready for a mission they hoped would never come. Status, she said, her voice activating the ship's systems. A presence filled her mind, not thoughts exactly, but awareness. The Leviathan was speaking to her through their neural link. Images flooded her consciousness. The Korthax invasion, the destroyed human defense fleet, the colony world of New Horizon, 2 billion people now in immediate danger. So it's time, Sarah whispered. She had known this day might come. She had volunteered for cryo-sleep with that knowledge, but hoping something would not happen and accepting that it had were different things. Her first officer, Commander James Park, appeared beside her. He was already fully awake, his own modifications allowing him to interface with the ship's tactical systems. The crew is waking, Captain. All systems are coming online. We're still in dimensional storage, but the fold is destabilizing. We'll be in normal space in approximately 4 minutes. Get me a clear picture of the situation, Sarah ordered. And wake up, everyone. Full combat stations. Throughout the Leviathan, 300 people moved with practiced efficiency. They had trained for 40 years before going into cryosleep. Every drill, every simulation, every possible scenario had been explored. They were not just a crew. They were the guardians humanity had chosen. The ship itself was 15 kilometers long, shaped like nothing else in the galaxy. Its hull seemed to shift and change depending on the angle of view, as if it existed partially in other dimensions. The architecture followed patterns that the architects had used. Geometric designs that incorporated mathematics beyond standard 3-dimensional understanding. Human sections were clearly visible, practical, and functional engineering. But these were integrated with structures that seemed organic, alive, flowing, armor plating that could regenerate, power conduits that pulsed like veins, weapon systems that did not just fire energy but manipulated the fundamental forces of reality. Sarah made her way to the bridge, a circular chamber at the heart of the ship. Holographic displays surrounded her, showing data streams in formats that only enhanced humans could fully process. Her crew took their stations, each one linking their consciousness to their respective systems. All stations report ready, Commander Park announced. Sarah settled into the command chair. It was not really a chair. It was an interface point, a place where she could become one with the Leviathan, Neural connections activated, and suddenly she could feel the ship's vast consciousness merge with her own. It was overwhelming and beautiful. She could feel every system, every sensor, every particle of the ship's being. And more than that, she could feel its purpose. The architects had built this technology for exploration, for understanding, for pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Humans had adapted it for protection. "Take us out," Sarah commanded. New horizon, maximum speed. The Leviathan did not move in the conventional sense. It folded space. One moment it existed in its dimensional pocket near Neptune. The next moment it was simply somewhere else. The transition was instantaneous from an outside perspective, but Sarah experienced it as a journey through layers of reality that normal physics could not describe. They emerged in the New Horizon system, and immediately every sensor in the region went insane. War Sovereign Krolix was preparing for the final assault when his tactical officer screamed. Not spoke urgently, not reported with concern, but actually screamed in primal terror. "What is it?" Krolix demanded. "Energy signature, my sovereign. It just appeared. Readings are off every scale. It's impossible. The sensors say it's 15 kilometers long, but mass readings indicate it's heavier than a small moon. Gravitational distortions are warping space around it. What is that thing?" On every display screen, the Leviathan appeared. Krolix stared at it, his mind struggling to comprehend what he was seeing. It was beautiful and terrifying. Its hull seemed to shimmer with inner light. Patterns moved across its surface like living things, and it radiated power, incredible power, power that made his entire armada seem like children's toys. "Is that a ship?" he whispered. Across the coalition, every species with sensors in the region received the same data. In the council chamber, absolute silence fell as the readings were analyzed. The Lumini Elder was the first to speak, her crystalline body pulsing with agitation. "That energy signature, it matches records from the First Age. The architects, the old ones, but that is impossible. Their technology has been dead for millions of years." Zorthak's voice was barely a whisper. "The Leviathan. My grandfather's story. It was true. It was all true." On the Leviathan's bridge, Sarah surveyed the battlefield. The Korthax Armada was massive, over 1,000 ships arranged in attack formations. The remaining human defenders were falling back, their shields failing, their weapons nearly depleted. And New Horizon hung in space beyond them, helpless. "Open a channel," Sarah ordered. "All frequencies. I want everyone to hear this." The communication systems activated. They did not use normal radio waves or quantum entanglement. They used something more fundamental, broadcasting directly through the fabric of space itself. Every ship in the system, every station, every coalition monitoring post across the galaxy received her words. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the United Terran exploration vessel Leviathan. To the Korthax forces, you are ordered to power down your weapons and withdraw from human space immediately. This is your only warning." Krolix recovered from his shock. He was a conqueror, a warrior who had destroyed civilizations. He would not be intimidated by one ship, no matter how strange it looked. "One vessel against my armada. Human arrogance knows no limits. All ships, open fire. Destroy that thing." Sarah felt his decision through the sensor nets before the orders were even transmitted. She sighed. They chose violence. Tactical, you are authorized to engage. Defensive protocols only. Disable, do not destroy when possible. "Understood, Captain," Commander Park replied. Engaging. The Korthax Armada opened fire. Thousands of weapons discharged simultaneously. Plasma cannons that could melt through asteroid fields, antimatter missiles that could crack planets, quantum disruptors that could tear apart molecular bonds, enough firepower to sterilize a solar system. All of it struck the Leviathan's shields, and none of it penetrated. The energy simply dissipated, absorbed and redirected by defensive systems that operated on principles current science could not explain. The ship did not even shake. The shields did not even flicker. Sarah felt the weapons fire through her connection to the ship. It felt like raindrops on her skin, gentle and meaningless. "Return fire," she said quietly. "Demonstrate capability." The Leviathan did not have traditional weapons. It had systems that manipulated reality itself. Commander Park selected targets carefully, prioritizing the closest threats. 5 Korthax battlecruisers suddenly found themselves caught in gravitational fields that should not exist. Space warped around them, crushing their hulls like paper. They did not explode. They simply compacted into dense spheres of wreckage. 10 more ships tried to retreat. The Leviathan flickered, moving through quantum space, and appeared directly behind them. It did not fire weapons. It simply created a localized distortion that folded the ships through higher dimensions. They emerged seconds later, millions of kilometers away, their navigation systems completely scrambled, their weapons offline. 20 more ships attacked in a coordinated strike. The Leviathan responded by generating a pulse that traveled through space faster than light. Where it touched the Korthax vessels, their power systems simply stopped. Reactors went cold, shields collapsed, life support switched to emergency batteries. 4 minutes after the battle started, 300 Korthax ships were destroyed or disabled. The Leviathan had not even moved from its initial position. It had not used even a fraction of its capabilities, and across the galaxy every species watched and understood. The humans had not been hiding because they were weak. They had been hiding because they were terrifyingly strong. War Sovereign Kralix watched his armada die, and for the first time in his life he knew true fear. 300 of his ships had been destroyed or disabled in minutes. Not hours, not even half an hour, minutes, and the human vessel had barely moved. All ships full retreat, he shouted. Emergency jump now. His tactical officer's voice cracked with panic. We cannot, my sovereign. That ship, it is doing something to space itself. Our jump drives will not engage. We are trapped. Kralix stared at the tactical display. His remaining 900 ships were attempting to flee in every direction, but none of them could activate their faster-than-light systems. The Leviathan had created some kind of field, some distortion that prevented dimensional jumps. They were locked in normal space with a predator that could destroy them at will. Then we fight, Kralix snarled. All ships concentrate fire on that vessel. Everything we have, the Armada responded. Every weapon, every missile, every form of destructive power the Korthax possessed was unleashed in a desperate assault. The space around the Leviathan lit up like a new star being born. Energy levels climbed so high that ships on the outer edge of the battlefield had to raise their shields just to avoid the radiation. But when the light faded, the Leviathan hung in space exactly as before, undamaged, unharmed, untouched. On the bridge, Sarah watched the tactical displays with a mixture of pity and disappointment. She had hoped the Korthax would choose wisdom. They had chosen desperation instead. Captain, Commander Park said quietly, they are preparing something. Energy readings from the flagship are spiking. It looks like a planet-killer weapon. Sarah's enhanced senses confirmed it. The endless hunger was charging a weapon designed to crack worlds, to boil atmospheres, to extinguish all life on a planet's surface. And it was not aimed at the Leviathan. It was aimed at New Horizon. They would rather commit genocide than admit defeat, she said, her voice cold. Tactical, intercept that weapon. Engineering, prepare for energy absorption. Captain, that is a planet killer, her chief engineer warned. Even our shields might not handle the full impact. Sarah's eyes hardened. We are not going to shield against it. We are going to eat it. The planet killer fired. A beam of concentrated antimatter and exotic particles lanced toward New Horizon, carrying enough energy to sterilize the colony world in seconds. 2 billion people were about to die. The Leviathan moved, not through normal space, but through the dimensions that lay between. One moment it was kilometers away from the beam's path. The next moment it was directly in front of it, placing itself between the weapon and the planet. The beam struck the Leviathan and disappeared. The ship's architect-designed systems did not just block the energy. They absorbed it, channeled it, transformed it. Sarah felt the weapon's power flow through the ship's systems like a river finding new channels. It was incredible, terrifying, beautiful. Energy absorbed, her chief engineer reported, his voice filled with awe. We just took in enough power to destroy a world, and our systems are treating it like a battery charge. Captain, we are now operating at 140% reactor capacity. Good, Sarah said. Let's use it. Tactical, I want a hyperspace pulse. Target every Korthax weapon system and faster-than-light drive in this system. Disable them all. Simultaneously. Commander Park's fingers danced across his interface, his mind linked directly to the Leviathan's tactical consciousness. Pulse prepared, Captain. This will use all the energy we just absorbed, plus 30% of our core reserves. Fire. The Leviathan did not emit a visible beam or projectile. Instead, it released a wave of directed energy that traveled through hyperspace, touching every Korthax ship in the system at exactly the same instant. The wave was carefully calibrated, surgical in its precision. Weapon systems overloaded and shut down. Faster-than-light drives burned out their core components. Shield generators fused into useless metal, but life support remained functional. Crew quarters stayed pressurized. Medical bays continued operating. The Korthak soldiers would live, but their ships were now nothing more than drifting hulks. 900 warships disabled in a single pulse. The entire Crimson Armada, the terror of 12 conquered civilizations, rendered helpless by one vessel in one attack. Sarah opened a channel directly to the endless hunger. War Sovereign Kralix, your weapons are offline, your drives are destroyed, your fleet is disabled. You tried to kill 2 billion civilians rather than accept that you were outmatched. That says everything about your empire and nothing good about your honor. On his bridge, Kralix slumped in his command throne. Around him, his crew sat in shocked silence. Every screen showed disabled ships, failed systems, and armada that had been reduced to space debris without even being destroyed. "What are you?" he whispered. "I am a guardian," Sarah replied. 200 years ago, humanity found something in space. Technology from a civilization that existed before any of us. We could have used it to conquer the galaxy. We chose to use it to protect instead. We built one ship, only one. We hoped we would never need it. You forced our hand. She paused, letting her words sink in. You came to our worlds threatening genocide. You attacked our colonies. You fired a planet killer at civilians. By every law of war, we would be justified in destroying your entire fleet and everyone in it. Kralix felt a chill. He had expected annihilation. Every species he had conquered, he had crushed completely. He assumed humans would do the same.
Then do it.
Finish what you started. No, Sarah said simply. We built the Leviathan as a defender, not an executioner. Your ships are disabled, but your people live. Your crews have enough life support to survive until rescue ships arrive. You will return to your empire. You would let us go? Kralix could not comprehend it. After everything we did? Yes, because we are not you. We do not conquer. We do not exterminate. We protect. But understand this, War Sovereign. Return to your empire and tell them what happened here. Tell them humanity has a guardian. Tell them we have the power to destroy any threat, but we choose mercy when possible. Tell them that if they threaten innocence, if they attack the weak, if they practice genocide, the Leviathan will answer. Sarah's voice became harder, colder. And tell them that next time, if you force our hand again, we will not be so gentle. This is the only warning your empire will receive. Leave our space. Leave Coalition space. If we hear of you attacking any civilization, we will come. And we will stop you permanently. The channel closed. Kralix sat in silence, staring at the tactical displays showing his ruined armada. He had conquered 12 civilizations. He had destroyed countless fleets. He had considered himself invincible. One human ship had made him understand how wrong he had been. Across the galaxy, in the Coalition Council chamber, representatives watched the battle's conclusion in stunned silence. The sensor data was undeniable. The results were impossible to dismiss. Humanity had hidden power beyond anything the current galaxy possessed. The Lumini Elder spoke first, her crystalline voice resonating through the chamber. The architect's technology was thought to be lost, dead, gone forever. Yet humans found it, mastered it, and chose restraint. They built one ship, not a fleet. They offered peace first, violence only when necessary. Zorthak stood slowly. The Vraxil commander who had mocked humanity days before now looked shaken. My grandfather was right. The Leviathan destroyed our scouts 200 years ago, and we called it a myth because we could not accept that primitives had such power. They are not primitives, Wexler of the Kresh said quietly. They never were. They were students learning to use responsibly what they had found. While we dismissed them, they were growing into something far beyond us. Ambassador Kenji Torres appeared on the main display, his transmission coming from Earth. Honored representatives, humanity did not share our discovery because we knew what it would create. Fear, jealousy, calls for us to share technology we barely understood ourselves, or worse, demands that we use it to enforce peace throughout the galaxy. He smiled sadly. We did not want to be conquerors or overlords. We wanted to be partners, equals, but you made it clear humans were not welcome as equals. So we prepared to defend ourselves and hoped the preparation would never be necessary. The Korthaks made it necessary, Kenji continued. They forced us to reveal what we had hoped to keep hidden. Now the galaxy knows. Humanity has a guardian. We have the power to enforce peace. The question is, what do we do with that knowledge? The council chamber erupted in debate. Some species wanted humanity punished for hiding such power. Others demanded the technology be shared. Still others argued humanity should be made coalition leaders by default, since they clearly had superior capabilities. Kenji waited for the noise to die down. Then he spoke again. Humanity makes this offer. The Leviathan will serve as a defender, not just for human worlds, but for any species that faces extinction or genocide. We will not interfere in normal conflicts. We will not choose sides in political disputes. But if another empire like the Korthax rises, if innocents face extermination, if a civilization attacks the defenseless, we will respond. In exchange, we ask for nothing. No territory, no tribute, no command over other species. We simply ask to be left alone to continue growing, learning, and existing peacefully. The Leviathan will sleep again, and hopefully for a long time. But it will. 3 days after the battle, rescue ships from the Korthax Empire arrived at New Horizon. They found their Crimson Armada floating helplessly in space, alive but defeated. The rescue operation took weeks. Every disabled ship had to be towed back to Korthax space, a humiliating parade of failure. War Sovereign Kralix returned to his homeworld in shame. He was stripped of his rank and brought before the Imperial Council. They demanded answers. How could the mighty Crimson Armada be destroyed by a single ship? Kralix told them everything. The Leviathan, the architect technology, the weapon that absorbed a planet killer and turned it into power, the precision strike that disabled 900 warships simultaneously, the humans who could have destroyed them all but chose mercy instead. The Imperial Council did not believe him at first. They thought he was making excuses for his failure, but then the sensor data came in, confirmed by dozens of coalition monitoring stations. The evidence was undeniable. The Korthax Empire, which had built its power on conquest and intimidation, suddenly faced an enemy it could not defeat. An enemy that did not even want to fight, but would utterly destroy them if they tried conquest again. The Empire withdrew. They pulled back from coalition space, from human territory, from the borders of every civilization they had threatened. For the first time in a century, the Korthax chose peace, not because they wanted to, but because they had learned the price of war with humanity. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the Leviathan's bridge, watching the last Korthax rescue ship jump to hyperspace. New Horizon hung in the viewport beyond, safe and whole. 2 billion people who had been hours from death now went about their lives, most of them never knowing how close extinction had come. Mission accomplished, Captain, Commander Park said. All threats neutralized. Colony world secure. Coalition representatives are requesting permission to board and inspect the ship. Sarah smiled slightly. Denied. The Leviathan is humanity's secret, not a museum piece. Tell them we appreciate the interest, but some things need to remain mysteries. She had known this would happen. Every species in the galaxy now wanted to understand the Leviathan, how it worked, what made it possible, whether it could be replicated. The requests for information were already flooding in, but humanity's answer was consistent. No. The architect technology was not something to be shared casually. It was too powerful, too dangerous in the wrong hands. Humanity had spent 200 years learning to use it responsibly. They would not give that power to species who had barely learned to avoid destroying themselves. New orders from Earth Command, Commander Park said, reading his display. We are to return to dimensional storage. Resume cryosleep protocols. Return to standby status, Sarah nodded. She had expected this too. The Leviathan was not meant to be active permanently. It was a guardian, not a patrol ship. It would sleep again, waiting for the next crisis that required its intervention. Send a message to all human colonies, she ordered. Tell them we are going back to sleep. Tell them we hope it will be a long sleep, one that lasts centuries. But tell them we will always be here, watching, waiting, ready. Over the next week, the Leviathan prepared to return to its dimensional fold. The crew underwent medical checks, system diagnostics, psychological evaluations. Returning to cryosleep after tasting action was harder than going under the first time. But they were professionals. They had accepted this duty 200 years ago, and they would accept it now. Sarah recorded her final log entry before entering cryosleep. Captain's log. Final entry of this activation cycle. We have successfully defended human colonies from the Korthax Empire. Enemy forces defeated with minimal casualties. Coalition status upgraded to full membership with defensive guarantees. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I want to address future crews who may listen to this recording. We built the Leviathan from architect technology, but we built it with human purpose. We chose to create a defender, not a destroyer. We chose mercy over vengeance. We chose protection over conquest. These choices matter. The galaxy will always have threats. Empires that seek dominance, species that practice genocide, forces that prey on the weak. But how we respond to these threats defines us. We could use the Leviathan's power to rule. We could force peace at the point of our weapons. We could become tyrants with noble intentions. Sarah's voice became firmer. We must never do that. We must always remember that power without wisdom is just another form of tyranny. We defend those who cannot defend themselves. We stop genocides and extinctions. But we do not enforce our will on others. We do not choose their governments or dictate their cultures. We protect, we do not rule. To future captains, use this ship wisely. Use it sparingly. Use it only when defense is truly necessary. And always remember that the measure of our humanity is not in how easily we can destroy, but in how carefully we choose when to act and when to show restraint. She ended the recording and settled into her cryopod. The systems activated, cooling her body, slowing her metabolism, preparing her for another long sleep. Her last conscious thought was a hope that the next time she woke, it would be centuries in the future, in a galaxy that had learned to solve its problems without needing a guardian. The Leviathan slipped back into dimensional storage, folding out of normal space near Neptune. To the rest of the galaxy, it simply disappeared. Sensor readings showed nothing but empty space where the massive vessel had been moments before. But everyone knew it was still there. Watching, waiting, in the Coalition Council, the mood had changed completely. Where humans had once been dismissed as primitives, they were now spoken of with respect and a healthy dose of fear. Species that had been hostile became friendly. Trade agreements were negotiated. Cultural exchanges were established. Humanity was no longer trying to join the galactic community. The galactic community was trying to stay on humanity's good side. Ambassador Kenji Torres handled the diplomatic whirlwind with grace. He accepted apologies from species that had dismissed humans. He negotiated treaties that gave humanity fair treatment without special privileges. He repeatedly emphasized that the Leviathan was defensive, not aggressive. But privately, in secure channels with Earth, he expressed concerns. The galaxy fears us now. They will smile and shake our hands, but they will also watch us constantly, looking for signs we might turn aggressive. We need to prove day by day, year by year, that we meant what we said, that we are defenders, not conquerors. On Earth, in the deep archives, Dr. Sarah Okonkwo and Colonel Marcus Webb reviewed the mission reports. The Leviathan had performed exactly as designed. The crew had acted with perfect discipline. The technology had worked flawlessly. We did it, Marcus said. We proved that humans can be trusted with ultimate power. We proved it once, Sarah corrected. We will need to keep proving it. Every time the Leviathan wakes, every time we face a crisis, we will be tested. Can we maintain our principles? Can we resist the temptation to use our power for more than defense? Do you think we can? Sarah considered the question carefully. I think we have a chance. We have 200 years of history showing restraint. We built one ship, not a fleet. We offered peace first. We showed mercy to enemies who showed us none. That's a good foundation. But, Marcus prompted, but humans are still human. Future generations might not remember why we made these choices. They might see the Leviathan as a tool for enforcing their vision of how the galaxy should be. They might convince themselves that using its power more actively is the moral thing to do. What do we do about that? We teach, Sarah said simply. We make sure every generation understands the responsibility that comes with this power. We tell the story of how we found the architect technology and chose to be guardians, not gods. We remember that power is not the same as wisdom. Across the galaxy, the story of the Leviathan spread. It became legend in its own time, a tale told in 1,000 languages by 100 species. The ship that was just a myth until it destroyed an armada. The human guardian that could kill billions but chose not to. The vessel that proved humans were more than they appeared. Some species saw it as a warning. Others saw it as hope. But everyone saw it as proof that humanity had earned its place in the galaxy. Years passed. Then decades. The Leviathan slept in its dimensional fold. its crew dreaming in cryosleep. Human colonies grew and prospered. The coalition expanded and flourished. New species joined, seeking the protection that the humans had promised. There were tensions, of course. Border disputes, trade conflicts, cultural misunderstandings. But these were resolved through diplomacy, not warfare. Everyone remembered what happened when a species chose violence over negotiation. Everyone remembered the Korthax Crimson Armada, floating helplessly in space, defeated by defenders who could have destroyed them, but chose mercy instead. The Korthax Empire itself changed. Stripped of its military pride, forced to accept that conquest was no longer possible, it turned inward. New leaders rose, ones who valued trade over tribute, diplomacy over domination. They would never admit it publicly. The massive alien ship appeared above Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning. It was 3 kilometers long, shaped like a crescent moon made of silver metal and glowing blue lights. Every government on Earth went into emergency mode. Military bases activated their defenses. Citizens looked up at the sky with wonder and fear. The ship sent a message in perfect English, Mandarin, Spanish, and 50 other human languages. Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Galactic Council. You are not alone in the universe. We come in peace to welcome you to the greater community. Within 6 hours, Earth's leaders gathered in a secret United Nations facility in Geneva. Around the table sat presidents, prime ministers, generals, and scientists. They watched the video transmission from the alien ship over and over again. Are they friendly? Someone asked. We don't know yet, replied Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's lead xenobiologist. But they found us. We didn't find them. That means they're more advanced than us. The aliens invited human representatives to meet them on their ship. A team of 12 humans went up in a shuttle. When they entered the alien vessel, they saw beings from dozens of different worlds. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. Some had scales, others had fur or skin like smooth stone. They all wore similar uniforms with symbols that probably meant rank or position. The leader of the alien delegation was a tall creature named Ambassador Kelvin. He had blue-gray skin, 4 arms, and large yellow eyes. He spoke through a translation device that hung in the air between them. Welcome, humans of Earth, Kelvin said. We represent 47 civilizations in this sector of the galaxy. We have watched your world for some time. You have finally reached a level of technology that allows us to make contact. The human ambassador, a veteran diplomat named James Morrison, stepped forward. Thank you for your welcome. We have many questions. And we have answers, Kelvin replied. But first, we must discuss your place in the Galactic Council. We rank civilizations by their capabilities. After studying your world, we classify Earth as a Class 4 civilization. You have basic space travel, primitive energy systems, and limited military capacity. You are welcome to join the Council as a junior member. Morrison felt the insult in those words but kept his face neutral. What does junior membership mean? You will have access to some galactic trade routes. You may sell your resources and buy our technology. You will follow Council laws. In return, we offer protection and knowledge, Kelvin explained. He made it sound generous, but Morrison heard the real message. Earth would be the new kid in class sitting at the back doing what they were told. We need time to discuss this with our governments, Morrison said. Of course, you have one of your weeks. But understand, isolation is not a real choice. Either you join the galactic community under our terms, or you will find yourselves cut off from all benefits. No trade, no technology sharing, no protection if hostile species find you interesting. The human delegation returned to Earth. The debates lasted for days. Some wanted to reject the offer. Others said they had no choice. In the end, Earth's united government agreed to join the Council, but with conditions. Morrison returned to the alien ship with a document. We accept membership, but we request that formal rules of engagement be established. We want clear laws about warfare, territorial rights, and conflict resolution. Kelvin's face did something that might have been a smile. Of course, the Council has very strict rules about warfare between member species. We are civilized, unlike the primitive conflicts on your world. We also want it on record that Earth maintains certain military capabilities as reserved assets. Morrison continued. We will share information about 85% of our defensive systems. The remaining 15% will stay classified under our internal security protocols. Several alien delegates made sounds that the translation devices rendered as laughter. Reserved assets? One of them said. What could a Class 4 civilization possibly need to hide from the Council? Morrison's expression stayed calm. It's our policy. We believe in measured response to threats. What we're showing you is what we use for peacetime operations. We have other capabilities that we prefer not to reveal unless absolutely necessary. This is adorable, another alien said. They think they have secret weapons that would impress us. Kelvin raised one of his 4 hands for silence. Very well. Earth may keep its little secrets. We respect your cultural need for privacy. Now let us discuss your assignments within the Council structure. Over the next weeks, Earth learned its place in the galactic order. Human colonies would mine asteroids and provide raw materials. Earth factories would produce basic goods. Human culture would be shared as entertainment for other species. It was clear that the Council saw humanity as useful but not important. During the negotiations, human military observers noted everything. They recorded the alien ship designs, studied their technology, and analyzed their attitudes. Every piece of information went into classified databases deep inside secure facilities on Earth and Mars. General Patricia Okoye, head of the newly formed Earth Defense Coordination, met with the planet's top military leaders in a bunker beneath the Rocky Mountains. They think we're primitive, she said, looking at the assembled officers. They think our weapons are toys. They have no idea what we're really capable of. Should we show them? Asked a Chinese general. No, Okoye replied firmly. The President and the Unity Council have been clear. We play the role they expect. We smile, we mine their asteroids, we follow their rules. But we watch everything. We learn everything. And we prepare for the day when their rules don't protect us anymore. What about the Reserved Assets Protocol? Someone asked. Okoye pulled up a holographic display. It showed statistics that would have shocked the Galactic Council. Earth's true military capacity was not 15% larger than reported. It was 800% larger. The planet had weapon systems developed in secret for decades. Artificial intelligence warfare platforms, genetic defense protocols, ships that could move through space in ways the aliens had never seen, energy weapons that made the Council's technology look ancient. The protocol stays in place, Okoye confirmed. We warned them. We told them we were holding back. They laughed. That's their mistake, not ours. The first galactic year passed peacefully. Humans worked in their assigned roles. They seemed content to be the junior members of the cosmic community. Earth's representatives attended council meetings and voted as expected. Human ships traveled the approved trade routes and caused no trouble. But in secret military facilities across human space, a different story unfolded. Earth's fleets expanded quietly. New weapons were tested in the dark spaces between stars. Human intelligence officers infiltrated alien worlds and gathered information. Scientists developed technologies that broke the Council's understanding of physics. Ambassador Morrison attended a council reception on the station orbiting the planet Tarsus Prime. Alien delegates drank strange liquors and discussed galactic politics. Several of them approached Morrison with friendly condescension. How is Earth adapting to civilization? One asked. Morrison smiled politely. We're learning a great deal. Thank you for your patience with us. It must be difficult being so far behind the rest of us, another alien said. We manage, Morrison replied. He thought about the quantum displacement cannon that had just completed testing near Jupiter. He thought about the AI fleet that could respond to threats in microseconds. He thought about the classified research stations scattered through human space, working on projects that would terrify the Council if they knew. You're very quiet for such a primitive species, Kelvin observed, approaching with drinks. We're observers by nature, Morrison said. We prefer to watch and learn before we act. A wise policy for a junior species, Kelvin agreed. Morrison nodded and said nothing. In his mind, he repeated the words that had become Earth's unofficial motto since joining the Council. Speak softly. Prepare everything. And pray they never make us show them what we really are. The peaceful year continued. Earth seemed to be exactly what the Council expected. A useful, obedient, unremarkable new member of the galactic community. They had no idea how wrong they were. The colony on New Brisbane was 3 years old. 15,000 humans had made the planet their home. They had built farms in the green valleys and cities along the blue rivers. Children played in parks under an orange sky. It was peaceful and beautiful, a sign that humanity could thrive among the stars. The Zynthian Empire's war fleet arrived without warning on a Saturday morning. There were 37 ships, each one bristling with weapons. The Xinthians were a predatory species that looked like massive insects covered in black armor. They had joined the Galactic Council 2 centuries ago but were known for pushing boundaries and testing limits. They respected only strength and saw kindness as weakness. Commander David Park was having coffee in the colony's control center when the alarms screamed to life. His screens filled with red warnings. Sensors showed the enemy fleet entering orbit above them. "Get everyone to the shelters," Park shouted. "Send distress signals to Earth and the Council." "Move." The colony's defensive systems activated. They had shields and a few weapons, enough to stop pirates or small threats. Against a full military fleet, they were useless. Park knew it. Everyone knew it. The Xinthian commander opened a communication channel. His translator made his clicking sounds into harsh words.
Human colony, this is Fleet Commander Zarkoth.
"Your species has something we want. You will evacuate this planet within 6 hours. Leave everything behind. Refuse and we will remove you by force." Park's hands shook with rage. "This is illegal under Council law. We have rights to this world. Our claim was approved by—" "Your claim means nothing," Zarkoth interrupted. "The Council protects those who can defend themselves. You are weak. We are strong. This is how the galaxy works. We have civilians here. Children! Then you should evacuate quickly." Park cut the transmission and looked at his staff. "Contact Earth, tell them everything. Send all our sensor data. Make sure they know what's happening here." His communications officer worked frantically at her station. Message sent through the quantum relay. "Earth will have it in 3 minutes." Park ordered the evacuation to begin, but he knew the truth. They had 36 transport ships. It would take days to evacuate everyone. The Xinthians had given them 6 hours. It was impossible. On Earth, the message arrived at 3 in the morning, Geneva time. General Okoye was pulled from sleep by an urgent call. She reached the command center within 15 minutes, still buttoning her uniform. The situation room was chaos. Screens showed the Xinthian fleet over New Brisbane. Officers shouted status reports. The president was on video link, her face gray with shock and anger. "How long do we have?" the president asked. 4 hours now, Okoye replied. "Maybe less. They're demanding full evacuation and we can't do it in time." "What about the Council? Where's their peacekeeping fleet?" Ambassador Morrison's face appeared on another screen. He was at the Council station looking exhausted. "I've been arguing with them for an hour. They refuse to intervene. They say this is an internal matter between Earth and the Xinthian Empire. They say if Earth can't defend its colonies, it shouldn't have colonies." "That's insane," someone shouted. "That's politics," Morrison replied bitterly. "Half the Council species think we're too weak to matter. The other half are afraid of the Xinthians. No one wants to help us." The president's jaw tightened.
General Okoye, what are our military options?
Okoye pulled up tactical displays. "Our nearest official fleet is 6 days away. Too far. But—" She paused, looking at classified files that most people in the room had never seen. "We have other assets." "The reserved assets?" the president asked quietly. "Yes, ma'am. We have ships that can reach New Brisbane in 2 hours. We have weapons that can eliminate the Xinthian fleet in less than 20 minutes. But if we use them, the secret is out. The whole galaxy will know what we've been hiding." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the weight of that decision. For a year, Earth had played the role of the weak junior species. It had been useful. It had kept them safe. Using their real military power would change everything. The president closed her eyes for a moment. "Get me Commander Park." The image of New Brisbane's control center appeared. Park looked terrified but determined. Behind him, alarms blared and people ran past carrying emergency supplies. "Commander, this is the president." "What's your situation?" "We're evacuating, ma'am, but we won't make it. We have maybe 5,000 people off planet so far. The Xinthians just reduced their deadline to 2 hours. They're powering up weapons." Park's voice cracked. "Ma'am, we need help. These are families here. Kids, please." The president looked at Okoye. Their eyes met. No words were needed. "Commander Park, help is coming," the president said. "Get as many people as you can to the shelters. Reinforce them. We're sending our fleet." "Ma'am, the reports say our nearest ships are days away." "I didn't say our official fleet, Commander. I said our fleet. 2 hours. Hold on." The transmission ended. The president turned to Okoye. "General, you have full authorization. Use everything we have. Show them what we really are." Okoye nodded and opened a communication channel that had never been used before. It reached military facilities that officially didn't exist. Secret bases and asteroid fields, hidden ships waiting in the dark between planets. Research stations where humans had built weapons that broke every assumption the galaxy had about human technology. This is General Okoye. Authorization code Omega 77 Bravo. Directive 7 is now active. Full asset release. I repeat, full asset release. New Brisbane is under attack. All available units are weapons-free. Gods help them because we're about to unleash hell. Across human space, systems activated that had been sleeping for a year. Ships powered up engines that didn't make noise in space but somehow felt louder than thunder. Weapon systems came online. Their artificial intelligence minds calculating trajectories and kill zones. Soldiers who had trained in secret prepared for real combat. Near Neptune, a military station that appeared on no official maps released 12 ships. They weren't shaped like normal human vessels. They were angular and dark, covered in materials that bent light around them. Each ship had enough firepower to destroy a city. Each ship had an AI co-pilot that could make tactical decisions faster than any organic mind. These were the Shadow Fleet, Earth's first line of real defense. On New Brisbane, Commander Park watched his countdown timer. 90 minutes until the Xinthian deadline. 8,000 people were still on the planet. The enemy ships were moving into bombardment positions. Then his sensor officer gasped. "Commander!"
New contacts.
12 ships just appeared at the edge of the system. They're broadcasting Earth military codes. "That's impossible," Park said. "They can't be here yet, but they were." The Shadow Fleet had traveled faster than the Xinthians thought possible. They had technology that made their engines more efficient than anything the Council used. They had been waiting for this moment, preparing for it, hoping it would never come. Hope had run out. The lead ship of the Shadow Fleet opened a channel. The voice was calm and cold. "Xinthian vessels, this is Captain Sarah Martinez of the Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. You have attacked a human colony in violation of Council law. You have 60 seconds to begin retreating." Commander Zarkoth's response was laughter. 12 ships against 37? Human arrogance is amusing. "We will destroy you, then we will destroy the colony. Your species needs to learn its place." "We tried to teach you our place," Martinez replied. "You didn't listen. Now we'll show you." 59 seconds, 58. The Xinthian fleet turned to face the human ships. They powered up their weapons, confident in their numbers and their experience. They had fought dozens of wars. They had destroyed fleets larger than this. They had never fought humans who weren't playing games anymore. 47 seconds. The human ships spread out in a pattern that looked random but wasn't. They were positioning themselves in precise locations calculated by their AI systems. 30 seconds. The Xinthians fired. Massive energy beams lanced across space toward the human ships. 20 seconds. The energy beams hit nothing. The human ships were suddenly somewhere else, having moved faster than the Xinthians could track. 10 seconds. The Shadow Fleet opened fire. What happened next would be analyzed by military historians for generations. The weapons the humans used were like nothing in the galactic arsenal. Missiles that thought for themselves and predicted enemy movement. Energy weapons that punched through shields like they weren't there. Drones that swarmed like angry insects, each one carrying enough explosive power to crack a ship's hull. In 6 minutes, 15 Xinthian ships were destroyed. The rest tried to run. They didn't make it far. On New Brisbane, Commander Park and his staff watched their screens in stunned silence. The battle was so one-sided it looked like a training simulation. "Get everyone back to their homes," Park said quietly. "Tell them it's over. Tell them Earth kept its promise." In space, Captain Martinez surveyed the wreckage. "Open a channel to the Galactic Council. Full broadcast. I want everyone to hear this." Ambassador Morrison appeared on screen, his eyes wide. Behind him, alien delegates crowded around, staring at the battle footage. "Earth tried to warn you," Martinez said, her voice carrying to every council member, to every ship in range, to every station that monitored galactic communications. "We told you we were holding back. We told you." The Xinthian High Command didn't believe the first reports. 12 human ships destroying half a battle fleet? Impossible. There had to be a mistake, a malfunction in the communication system, something wrong with the data. Then the survivors arrived home. Their ships were barely functional, hulls torn open, systems burned out. The pilots told stories that sounded like nightmares. Human weapons that appeared from nowhere, ships that moved faster than sensors could track, technology that shouldn't exist. War Master Kretoth watched the footage in his command chamber on the Zinthean homeworld. He saw his proud fleet cut apart like prey animals. His mandibles clicked together in agitation. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "Earth is Class 4, primitive, weak." His intelligence officer, a scarred veteran named Zalmor, pulled up data on the holographic display. "Our assessment was wrong, War Master. Earth has been deceiving the Council. These ships use technology we've never encountered. Their weapons operate on principles our scientists don't understand. Then we will study them," Kretoth declared. "We will learn their secrets and take them for ourselves. Prepare the full Armada. We will crush Earth itself and teach these mammals their place." Zalmor hesitated. "War Master, perhaps we should—" "You question me." "No, War Master. I only suggest caution. If Earth has more hidden capabilities, then we will face them with overwhelming force," Kretoth interrupted. "The Zinthean Empire does not retreat. We do not apologize. We do not show weakness to prey species. Send the message to Earth. They have 48 hours to surrender 5 of their systems to us, or we will destroy their home world." The message reached Earth within hours. General Okoye read it twice, then called an emergency meeting of the Unity Council. "They want 5 systems, including Mars," she told the assembled leaders. "And they're giving us 2 days to surrender them." "They're insane," the Chinese premier said. "They just watched their fleet get destroyed and they're threatening us." Ambassador Morrison, attending by video link, shook his head. "It's not insane. It's their culture. The Zintheans only respect strength. They believe showing weakness is worse than death. Retreating after a defeat would destroy their reputation, so they escalate instead. Then we'll have to teach them a harder lesson," the president said. She looked at Okoye. "General, show us everything. I want to know exactly what capabilities we have." Okoye pulled up files that made everyone in the room go quiet. Earth's real military capabilities were staggering. The Shadow Fleet was just the beginning. There were weapons that could tear apart planets, drones that could think and fight independently, ships that could travel through space in ways that seemed to break physics, genetic warfare systems that could target specific species, and more, much more, all developed in secret over decades. "If we use all of this," Okoye explained, "the galaxy will never look at us the same way again. We'll be feared, maybe hated, definitely isolated. But we'll be alive," the president replied, "and no one will dare attack human colonies again." Send the response. Earth's reply to the Zinthean ultimatum was short. "You have 48 hours to withdraw all Zinthean military forces to your home system. You will pay reparations for the attack on New Brisbane. You will formally apologize to the human species and the Galactic Council. Refuse and we will show you what war with humanity really means." War Master Kretoth read the message and laughed. "They dare give us ultimatums? Activate the full Armada. We leave for Earth immediately." The Zinthean Empire's complete military force was 300 warships. They had conquered a dozen species with that fleet. They had never lost a major conflict. They were confident, experienced, and completely unprepared for what was coming. The Armada gathered in the Zinthean home system, a massive display of military power. War Master Kretoth stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Devourer, and addressed his fleet. "Today we teach the humans a lesson. We show the galaxy that the Zinthean Empire cannot be challenged. Forward, to Earth." The fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives. They would reach human space in 4 hours. They never made it. General Okoye had given orders that were terrifying in their simplicity. Don't just stop their military, and their capacity to ever threaten anyone again. Make them an example. Earth's full military capability, hidden for so long, emerged into the light. It wasn't just the 12 ships of the Shadow Fleet. It was hundreds of vessels, some so advanced they seemed like magic. They had been waiting in dark spaces throughout the galaxy, watching, ready. When the Zinthean Armada dropped out of faster-than-light travel, they expected empty space between their home and Earth. Instead, they found a human fleet of 200 ships waiting for them. "Impossible," War Master Kretoth whispered. "They couldn't have known our route. They couldn't have positioned so many ships so quickly." But they had. Earth's intelligence network had infiltrated Zinthean communications months ago. Human AI systems had calculated every possible attack route. The fleet had positioned itself perfectly, and the Zintheans had flown directly into a trap. The battle lasted 6 hours. It wasn't really a battle. It was a demonstration. Human weapon systems that the Xinthians couldn't understand tore through their shields. Missiles that corrected their course mid-flight struck with perfect accuracy. Drone swarms overwhelmed point defense systems. Energy beams that somehow passed through solid matter without losing power destroyed ships from the inside. War Master Kratoth watched his fleet die. Every ship he sent forward was destroyed. Every retreat was cut off. The humans didn't just fight. They controlled the battlefield completely. They showed tactics and technology that made the Xinthians look like children playing with sticks. All ships retreat, Kratoth finally ordered. Back to the home world. But the humans weren't done. They followed. They didn't just defeat the Xinthian military. They dismantled it piece by piece, destroying every ship, every station, every military asset they found. On the 4th hour, a human ship approached the Devourer. Kratoth expected a final attack. Instead, he received a communication. Captain Martinez appeared on his screen. War Master Kratoth, your fleet is destroyed. We could kill you now, but we're giving you a choice. Surrender completely. Agree to our terms and your species survives. Refuse and we will demonstrate a weapon your people don't want to see. What weapon? Kratoth asked, his pride broken but his curiosity remaining. Martinez didn't answer directly. Instead, she transmitted coordinates. That's an asteroid in your outer system. A rock 3 kilometers wide. No life, no value. Watch. A single human ship moved toward the asteroid. It fired something too small to see on most sensors. Whatever it was entered the asteroid and vanished. For 5 seconds, nothing happened. Then the entire asteroid exploded, not just broke apart. Every atom in that 3-kilometer rock seemed to stop existing at the same moment. The explosion was so complete that sensors showed only a cloud of component particles where the asteroid had been. That was a quantum dissolution weapon, Martinez explained. It breaks apart matter at the subatomic level. We have 17 more, each one aimed at military and industrial targets throughout your empire. We also have conventional weapons pointed at your civilian centers, though we'd prefer not to use them. She leaned forward, her face cold. You attacked our civilians. You threatened our homeworld. We could do the same to you, but we're not you. We don't want genocide. We want justice. Surrender now and your people live. Force us to continue and history will forget the Xinthian Empire ever existed. Kratoth looked at his displays. His fleet was gone, 300 ships reduced to wreckage and escape pods. The humans had technology that seemed impossible, weapons that defied understanding, and they had shown restraint. They could have destroyed the Xinthian homeworld already, but hadn't. For the first time in his military career, War Master Kratoth felt true fear. We surrender, he said quietly. The Xinthian Empire surrenders to humanity. The news spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The Xinthian Empire, one of the Council's most aggressive military powers, had been completely defeated in less than a day. Not just defeated, humiliated. Broken alien species watched the footage with shock and horror. Humans had technology that shouldn't exist, weapons that violated understood physics, and they had been hiding it all, playing the role of weak junior members while building an arsenal that could challenge the entire Council. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Morrison called an emergency session. Every species sent representatives. The chamber was more crowded than it had been in years. Everyone wanted to understand what had just happened. Morrison stood at the speaker's platform. Behind him, holographic displays showed the battle. The destroyed Xinthian fleet, the human weapons in action, the quantum dissolution of the asteroid. Members of the Council, Morrison began, his voice echoing through the chamber. Earth warned you. When we joined this body a year ago, we told you we were operating under peacetime restrictions. We told you we had reserved capabilities. You laughed. You called it adorable. You dismissed us as a primitive Class 4 civilization. Hee-paw. The Galactic Council's intelligence division was having the worst week in its history. Director Yelsera, a 6-limbed being from the Cordian species, sat in her office surrounded by reports that made her sick. Each report revealed another layer of deception. Each document showed how badly they had underestimated Earth. They've been watching us, she told the Council's Security Committee. Not for 1 year. For decades. Since before official first contact. The committee members looked at her in shock. Ambassador Kelvin spoke first. That's impossible. We monitored Earth's development. We saw their first space flights, their primitive probes. When did they? We saw what they wanted us to see, Yelsera interrupted. She pulled up data on the holographic display. Look at this. We have evidence now that Earth had stealth satellites observing Council space 30 years ago. They were studying us while we thought we were studying them. An alien general from the Torvin species clicked his mandibles nervously. What else did they hide? Yelsera pulled up more files. Everything. Their true population numbers are 40% higher than reported. They have 17 colonies we knew nothing about. Their industrial capacity is 12 times what we calculated. And their technology? She paused. Their technology is at least 300 years ahead of our estimates. How? Someone asked. Because they developed it in secret. While they showed us their official space program with chemical rockets and basic fusion, they were building quantum drives and artificial intelligence systems in hidden facilities. While they signed our trade agreements and acted grateful for our technology, they were laughing at us. They already had better versions of everything we offered. The room fell into uncomfortable silence. Finally, Kelvin asked the question everyone was thinking. What else don't we know about them? Everything, Yelsera replied. We know nothing real about humanity. Every assessment we made was based on false information they fed us. They played us perfectly, and now they've revealed just enough capability to make us fear them, while keeping their full strength hidden. She pulled up footage from the battle with the Xinthian Empire. These weapons they used?
Our scientists have analyzed them.
Some operate on principles we don't understand. The quantum dissolution weapon alone would take our best researchers decades to replicate, if we even could. And according to their own statement, this represents 15% of their capability. What's the other 85%? Someone whispered. We don't know, and that terrifies me more than anything. The meeting ended with a grim conclusion. Earth had infiltrated the galactic community at every level. They had spies, hidden technology, secret colonies, and weapons that could threaten any species in the Council. And now that they'd revealed themselves, the balance of power had shifted dramatically. On Earth, General Okoye was dealing with a different problem. 3 Council species had supported the Xinthian attack on New Brisbane. Not openly, but through quiet supply agreements and intelligence sharing. Human spies had evidence of their involvement. The president looked at the files Okoye presented. The Vrex, the Corthan Unity, and the Belter Collective. They all helped the Xinthians plan the attack. Yes, ma'am, Okoye confirmed. The Vrex provided tactical data about our colony defenses. The Corthan Unity supplied weapons to the Xinthian fleet. The Belter Collective gave them intelligence about our official ship positions. They bet on the wrong side, the president said coldly. What do you recommend? Public exposure. We present the evidence to the Council. Let everyone see what happens when you conspire against humanity. Then we demand reparations and permanent monitoring of their military activities. Do it. Ambassador Morrison stood before the Council 3 days later. The chamber was full. Everyone wanted to see what Earth would do next. Morrison activated the holographic displays and the chamber filled with evidence. Communication intercepts, financial transactions, video footage of weapons being loaded onto Xinthian ships. The Xinthian attack on New Brisbane wasn't just their idea, Morrison announced. 3 Council members helped them. The Vrex provided intelligence. The Corthan Unity supplied weapons. The Belter Collective gave tactical support. They conspired to attack a human colony, hoping we would be too weak to respond effectively. The representatives from those 3 species stood in protest. This is slander, the Vrex ambassador shouted. You have no proof, Morrison smiled. We have every proof. We have your encrypted communications. We've had spies in your governments for over a year. We know what you eat for breakfast, Ambassador. We certainly know when you're planning to help someone murder our citizens. The evidence played across the displays. It was undeniable, complete. The 3 species had nowhere to hide. Earth demands the following, Morrison continued. First, formal apologies from all 3 species. Second, reparations totaling 5 billion galactic credits to be divided among the families of New Brisbane's victims. Third, permanent human observers stationed within your military command structures. Fourth, complete transparency regarding your weapons programs and military deployments. This is outrageous. The Corthan representative protested. You're demanding we accept occupation. No, Morrison replied. We're demanding accountability. You tried to have us killed. This is what mercy looks like. Because if we were like you, we'd simply destroy your military infrastructure and be done with it. Instead, we're offering you a chance to make things right. The three species had no choice. The evidence was too clear, and the implicit threat was obvious. Earth had destroyed the Xinthian Empire in hours. What would they do to smaller powers who refused to cooperate? They agreed to every demand. The council restructured itself in the following weeks. Earth went from junior member to senior power. Human representatives gained veto authority on military matters. New laws were passed requiring transparency about weapons development. Species that had laughed at humanity a month ago now sought their approval for basic military operations, but not everyone accepted the new order. In the shadows, a resistance formed. The Preservation Front started as a secret meeting between 5 species. They met on a neutral station at the edge of council space, taking extreme precautions against human surveillance. They're a threat to the entire galactic order, declared Commander Privex of the Anktaran species. He was a military strategist with 3 decades of experience. One species can't have this much power. It's unnatural, dangerous. They've already destroyed one empire and humiliated 3 others, added Scholar Marwin from the academic Thalasian species. If we don't act, they'll dominate the entire council. Eventually, they'll dominate all of known space. What can we do? Asked a representative from the Pix Collective. Their technology is superior to ours. Superior in direct combat, Privex agreed. But there are other ways to fight: sabotage, economic warfare, political manipulation, and if necessary, a coordinated strike against Earth itself before they can expand further. The group grew over weeks. 20 species joined the Preservation Front, then 30. All of them shared one goal: contain the human threat before it was too late. They believed they were saving the galaxy from a dangerous upstart species. They didn't know that every meeting they held was monitored. Every communication they sent was intercepted. Every member was identified and tracked. Earth's intelligence network had infiltrated the front from the beginning. General Okoye watched the surveillance reports with grim satisfaction. They're planning to strike Earth directly. A coordinated attack by 30 species. They think we don't know. Should we arrest them now? Asked her intelligence chief. No, Okoye replied. Let them commit. Let them launch their attack. We need to teach a lesson that the entire galaxy will remember. One that makes it clear: you don't threaten humanity without consequences. The president authorized a plan that was both simple and brutal. Earth would allow the Preservation Front to attack. Human civilians would be evacuated to secure locations. Defensive systems would be ready. And when the front committed their forces, Earth would crush them so completely that no one would ever challenge humanity again. Meanwhile, Ambassador Morrison worked on the political side. He met with council species that hadn't joined the front, securing alliances and non-aggression pacts. He offered technology sharing to those who remained loyal. He built a coalition of species who understood that fighting Earth was suicide. We don't want to rule the galaxy, Morrison told them. We just want to be left alone to grow and thrive. Work with us and you'll prosper. Work against us and, well, you've seen what happens. 6 months after the destruction of the Xinthian fleet, the galaxy had split into 3 camps. There were Earth's allies who benefited from human technology and protection. There were neutral species who wanted nothing to do with the conflict. And there was the Preservation Front, growing bolder and more desperate. The front believed they had 40 species ready to strike. They planned to hit Earth with overwhelming force, targeting military installations and key infrastructure. They would cripple humanity's ability to project power, then negotiate from a position of strength. They held a final planning meeting on a remote station. Representatives from each species attended in person. Security was absolute. No human spies could penetrate their defenses. They were certain of it. Commander Privex stood before the Preservation Front's attack began precisely at midnight. Universal Coordinated Time. 500 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They came from 30 different species united by fear and determination. Commander Privex stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the tactical display with satisfaction. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. No human fleet detected. Their defenses appear minimal. Privex smiled. Earth's arrogance will be their downfall. They thought their reputation would protect them. Today we prove that reputation is just words. Begin the attack. The fleet moved forward. Their plan was simple. Overwhelm Earth's orbital defenses, strike at military installations, and force humanity to negotiate. They expected fierce resistance. They expected casualties. What they didn't expect was the silence, no alarms. No emergency broadcasts. No scrambling defensive fleet. Earth was quiet. Something's wrong, Privex muttered. Where are their ships? His sensor officer checked the displays again. I'm not detecting any major military presence. Some satellites, automated defense platforms, but nothing that could stop us. It's a trap, someone said. Then we've already sprung it, Privex replied. Forward. Maintain formation. The fleet advanced deeper into the solar system. They passed Mars, past the asteroid belt, moved toward Earth itself. Still no resistance. The planet hung in space, blue and green and beautiful, apparently defenseless. Then every ship in the front's fleet lost power at the same moment. Not weapon systems. Not shields, everything. Engines died. Life support switched to backup. Navigation failed. Communication systems went dark. 500 warships became 500 floating boxes, drifting through space with no control. What happened? Privex shouted. Report! His crew worked frantically, but nothing responded. Their ship was dead in space, and from the panicked transmissions on emergency channels, so was everyone else. On Earth, deep in a military command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Okoye watched with cold satisfaction. Electromagnetic pulse, wide-spectrum frequency disruption, and quantum interference all deployed simultaneously. Every ship in their fleet is disabled. How long will they stay that way? The president asked. As long as we want them to, Okoye replied. We can restore their systems remotely when we're ready. Right now they're helpless, the president nodded. Show them what they're facing. Lights appeared in space around the frozen enemy fleet. Not ships appearing, just lights turning on. The front's forces had been surrounded the entire time by vessels so stealthy that no sensors detected them. There were hundreds of human ships, all invisible until they chose to be seen. All armed with weapons that could destroy the disabled fleet in minutes. Power returned to Privex's ship. His screens came alive, showing the human fleet surrounding them. His communication system activated, and a voice spoke in every language at once. This is General Patricia Okoye of Earth Defense Force. Your attack has failed. You are completely surrounded. Your ships are only functional because we allow it. We disabled every vessel in your fleet with a single coordinated pulse. We could have destroyed you just as easily. Privex stared at the tactical display. The human ships weren't in battle formation. They didn't need to be. They had already won. We knew about your preservation front since the day you formed it, Okoye continued. We knew about every meeting, every plan, every member. We allowed you to organize. We let you commit your forces. Do you understand why? The silence on the channel was answer enough. We needed you to learn, Okoye said. Not just you, but everyone in the galaxy. Attacking humanity has consequences. You came here with 500 ships from 30 species. You came to break us, to show the galaxy we could be defeated. She paused. Instead, you've shown them something else. You've shown them that humans can disable an entire fleet without firing a shot, that our stealth technology makes us invisible until we want to be seen, that we can control the battlefield so completely that resistance is meaningless. On his bridge, Privex felt something he'd never experienced in 3 decades of military service. Not fear, despair. They hadn't just lost. They had been played from the beginning, allowed to feel strong and prepared only to be shown how helpless they really were. You have a choice, Okoye continued. Surrender now. Return to your homeworlds. Disband your alliance, or we demonstrate what we would have done if we weren't being merciful. What demonstration? Privex asked, his voice hollow. There's a dead solar system 11 light-years from here. No planets, just asteroids and cosmic dust. We'll show you what we were prepared to do to Earth's solar system if you had somehow posed a real threat. A single human ship broke from the formation. It traveled to the coordinates Okoye mentioned, and the front's fleet watched on their screens. The ship stopped near a large asteroid field and deployed something small. Then it retreated. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. Then space itself seemed to tear open. A wave of energy exploded outward from the deployment point, expanding at impossible speed. Every asteroid it touched disintegrated, not exploded, ceased to exist. The wave consumed the entire field in minutes, leaving nothing but empty space where millions of rocks had been. That's a stellar-scale dissolution weapon, Okoye explained. We have 3 more. If your attack had somehow disabled our normal defenses, if you had landed troops on Earth, If you had threatened our civilians, we would have used these weapons to destroy every ship, every station, every military asset in your home systems. Then we would have occupied your worlds and dismantled your governments. The front's leadership watched in horror. This wasn't warfare. This was annihilation technology. The power to erase matter from existence on a massive scale. We didn't use these weapons on you, Okoye continued. Do you know why? Because we're not monsters. We don't want to commit genocide. We want to be left alone. But if you force our hand, if you threaten our people, we will use every weapon we have. And you've now seen what that means. She let that sink in. I'll ask one more time. Surrender or continue this fight and discover what else we've been hiding. The answer came within minutes. Every ship in the preservation front surrendered. Their commanders were taken into custody. Their crews were disarmed. The Great Alliance meant to contain humanity fell apart without a single human shot fired in anger. The aftermath was broadcast across the entire galaxy. Every species saw the footage. The disabled fleet. The invisible human ships. The dissolution of the asteroid field. The complete, total, overwhelming victory without even needing to fight. Galactic Council chambers were silent for 3 full days. Species that had been considering joining the front immediately withdrew. Those that had remained neutral began sending diplomatic messages to Earth, asking for friendship. The ones who had supported humanity felt vindicated. Ambassador Morrison addressed the Council 1 week later. The chamber was packed. Every species wanted to hear what Earth would say. The Preservation Front believed they were saving the galaxy from us. Morrison began. They thought we were a threat that needed to be contained. And maybe they were right to be afraid. We have weapons that can destroy planets. Technology that seems impossible. Military power that exceeds most species combined. He paused, looking around the chamber. But here's what they didn't understand. We don't want to conquer you. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want what every species wants. Safety, prosperity, and the chance to grow. Morrison pulled up an image of New Brisbane. We revealed our true capabilities for one reason. Because the Xinthian Empire attacked our colony and killed 15,000 people. And the Council did nothing. You expected us to accept that. To be good junior members and learn our place, his voice hardened. We learned our place. We're not the weakest species in the galaxy. We're not primitives who need your guidance. We're the ones who hold the biggest stick, and we're done pretending otherwise. He changed the image to show Earth's new demands. The Council will be restructured. Earth will have a permanent seat on the Security Committee with full veto power. Any attack on a Council member will be met with collective response. Species that develop weapons of mass destruction will be subject to inspection, and the Council will establish a real peacekeeping force, not just words and empty promises. And if we refuse? Someone asked. Morrison smiled without humor. Then Earth withdraws from the Council. We build our own alliance. We offer our protection and technology to species who want it, and we let you deal with the next aggressive empire that rises without our help. The vote took 2 days. Every single species voted to approve Earth's demands. The alternative was worse than accepting human leadership. New Brisbane was rebuilt over the following year. The colony became a symbol of humanity's resolve. In the central square, they erected a memorial. It was made of quantum-locked crystal, programmed to display the names of the 15,000 dead forever, visible from orbit. Around it, the colonists built a beautiful city, showing that humanity would not be driven away by violence. At the memorial's dedication, CE